Hi, I'm Jason Gorber for ThatShelf.com, and we're here to talk about Kenneth Branagh's Belfast.
Big shelf.
So Belfast is playing here as part of the Toronto International Film Festival. It's a really lovely film. It has incredible emotional bits, very nostalgic, very warm. It has a crazy cast. I got to read it out because I got festival brain. But Jude Hill's the young kid, sort of one of the lead, basically, the protagonist, the stand-in, as it were, for the director. This is semi-autobiographical tale of a family sort of engulfed in the sort of beginnings of certain sections of the Troubles, where just one street, which was very much a tight-knit community of both Catholics and Protestants, became much more segregated and segmented as the drama unfolded. Jude Hill, we got Colin Morgan, Ciarán Hinds, extraordinary performance by Ciarán Hinds. Jamie Dornan just does a really, really remarkable job. I think it's one of his best performances. Caitríona Balfe, you'll forgive me pronouncing her name. She's transcendent. The mom is just absolutely amazing. She's so fantastic in it. And Dame Judi Dench, God bless Dame Judi Dench. So, if there's one film that it immediately evoked, it was Roma. Actually, it's really interesting because Roma feels so very much of a particular place. I didn't think of it sort of cascading to have other directors fulfill similar bouts of nostalgia with it. But it's interesting how the two of them definitely have echoes. Now, let's be clear. Roma is not only a richer story, it's also a darker story. It's not that the events aren't dark, it's just the way it's told is significantly darker. There are moments of absolute fear and violence in amongst these sort of bucolic family moments. Belfast, in some ways, is because it's from a childhood point of view. It sort of softens some of the truly dark stuff, the political stuff, the machinations. It's all there, but a lot of that subtext. It really does come down to a family that just needed to find a way of either navigating the normal of what it was to be left within this community, or to move on and find a new life and a new way of being. I mean, when we were introduced to Kenneth Branagh, he was this wunderkind director. He was this guy who had the hubris to actually take on something like Hamlet on 70mm. And then he's sort of morphed into, being this not only lead actor, but just a fantastic character actor. Somebody who just shows up in a Christopher Nolan film and just shows up and does a truly remarkable job. So it's not like he hasn't had enormous success as a director, but it's one of those things. Is like it's sort of like Richard Attenborough. It's like you just know him so much. When you see him in Jurassic Park, you're like, oh my god, he's so great. And then you're like, you watch Gandhi, you're like, oh yeah, no, he can direct too. In other words, it's not one of these people who sort of come by it so haphazardly, and so we shouldn't be surprised that the film is told in such a precise and elegant way. Something that's truly inviting, that gives a sense of what was lost, but also a sense of just how it would appear through the eyes of this young kid just going through this turmoil. It very much feels like something that, again, has enough of a narrative hook to really draw wide audiences in, but still has a sophisticated enough storytelling to be appreciated as something that is far more uncommon than many other films. It really does work. Perhaps I would have liked it to have delved much deeper into some of the turmoil, to find slightly less pat ways of resolving some of the issues. But nonetheless, there's this undercurrent of real dread that is presented, even within this, as I said, slightly bucolic reminiscence of what it was. And because of that, I think that the film actually might get a great deal of success that it otherwise wouldn't have. I don't think it pulls any punches. I just think that it's a different way of telling it that has far more to do with the sort of quotidian relationships between son and father's father, and how all of that sort of plays out, rather than truly delving into the machinations, the betrayals, the way it plays out. From the opening scene, you know you're getting something that is slightly heightened, almost like a musical almost, that you're getting a sense of this undercurrent of real dread, but you're still finding some aspects of hope and some aspects of making a better life. I'm not giving anything away, but the last end credits actually pay respect to those that stayed, those that left, and those that were lost. And I think really this fundamentally is a story that sort of deals with those three elements. We don't really see all the other stuff is taking place. You see it from TV reports and elements, and other than the sort of opening round of sort of conventional rioting violence, you don't really get a sense of the true manipulation and machinations that all took place during this period where it was purported to be able to immediately identify one family versus another, one sect versus another, wrapped into the entirety of all that took place in this very tumultuous area. Look, the troubles in Northern Ireland are not an easy or a pat thing to sort of break down. The good guys, bad guys metric is never easy to actually navigate, let alone when you bring in people like the army that would have come over to sort of tamp down the situation. And so it's all of these factors playing out through the eyes of our protagonist, of this child, and its simplicity is his simplicity. It's difficulty in navigating all the stuff or finding all the nuances, his difficulty. And so when he actually gloms onto something as simple as just wanting to have a math prize or find some girl who he has a great deal of affection for, who again happens to not be necessarily part of his Venn diagram of religious relations, it may be simplistic, but it's nonetheless extremely effective. It's shot beautifully, almost all in black and white. But when they're seeing stuff that's sort of from the outside world, it's often in color. When they go to the films and see something like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, it's ridiculous, escapist nonsense, where everyone's sort of, singing along as something's literally going over a cliff and they're leaning forward. That speaks so much to that notion of when cinema can really draw you into its world, when cinema can truly make you feel part of something, where you're experiencing literally a vivid dream on the big screen. You can see very much how that would speak to the autobiographical nature of somebody that went on to direct and star in so many films. So I think Belfast is pretty great. It might not live up to very heightened expectations, but it certainly surpassed mine, and I went in with pretty positive views about it. I think the performances are fantastic. I think that it tells a rich story that's open for discussion, that's open for, you want to find the sort of more misery versions of many of these films, you absolutely can do so. I mean, one that immediately jumps to mind is something like 71, which is a much starker look, obviously with the social nuance and stuff like that, from the perspective of a soldier. This is from the perspective of a child, and as such, I think it really works very well. So that's Belfast by Kenneth Branagh. For thatshelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, please follow us on social media, and we will see you next video. All the best. Take care.